What if I told you that $10,000 is actually way more important than $1 million on your path towards financial independence? Not only is it way more achievable in the short term, but the skills that you're going to learn by saving $10,000 are going to be what serves as the foundation for your path towards building wealth. I'm going to be honest with you, you're not going to be able to retire with $10,000 or quit your job, but it will serve as a financial security foundation for you to make good decisions going forward. In this video, I'm going to talk about what are the benefits of saving $10,000 and what changes you can expect so that you can continue to build wealth in the future. If you're new here, I'm Pietro Conti, and I've worked in finance for the past 10 years. And on this channel, we talk about making smart personal finance decisions so that you can level up your self-development goals. If that's something that you're interested in, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss anything else going forward. All right, let's get into it. The number one thing that you'll notice once you have $10,000 saved is that you'll be able to cover 99% of life's financial emergencies. More than half of Americans have said that they don't even have $1,000 to support themselves in the event of any unexpected expense, which means that they're all living paycheck to paycheck without any planning for their future. If God forbid you were to ever get into a car accident or have some medical bills or even need to go out and buy a new laptop, you want to make sure that you are able to comfortably afford those expenses because you have no idea what life is going to throw at you. Insurance will thankfully help bring down the expenses for a lot of these items, but even with car insurance, you're going to have some sort of deductible where you need to pay out some sort of money in order to cover those expenses. And if you have $10,000 saved, you will have the security and peace of mind to know that if life is going to throw a monkey wrench at you, you'll be prepared to cover that expense. Even though it's going to hurt in the short term, you're not going to have to take out any debt in order to ensure that you can pay for that. The next thing with $10,000 is that you can clear your credit card debt. The average American has $5,000 to $6,000 balance on their credit card, which is just a huge hamper on your ability to create wealth. Credit cards have an APY of about 20%, which means for every year that you have $10,000 credit card debt outstanding, you will need to pay $2,000 in interest on that before you even need to pay down the principal. It is critical that you pay down all of your credit card debt as soon as possible. And for most people, $10,000 will be enough to do that and hopefully have some more money left over. Once your credit card debt is finally solved, it's really the first step on your path towards becoming financially independent because you will not have a bank trying to drain you 20% for everything that you buy. And once you can do that, you'll be able to build up your emergency fund. And once that's set up, you can actually invest so that your money is working for you versus working against you or working for the bank when you have credit card debt outstanding. So $10,000 is the first milestone where you should be able to cover all of that debt and then pay it down going forward. Think about it. If your credit card is charging you 20% APY per year, instead of paying it down, you decide that you want to invest it and try and make some money so that you can turn around and pay it down later. The average return in the S&P 500 is about 10% per year. And so if you put $10,000 into the market to work for you, that will increase to $11,000. So you'll have earned $1,000. But if you left 10K worth of credit card debt outstanding at a 20% APY, you will owe now $12,000. So even though you think, hey, maybe I'll put some money in so that I can make money and pay down my credit card debt, the 20% barrier is just way too high from banks. So you need to make sure to pay that down as soon as possible and then start to invest your money. The next benefit to saving $10,000 is that you build confidence since it is validating to get to that number and get to the next digit. There's something psychologically that just feels good when you see that fifth digit hit your bank account. And if you're like me and didn't have anybody to help guide you or point you in the right direction of how to manage your finances, you've probably tripped up on a lot of landmines along the way where you might not have known what to save your money on, spent too much on leasing a car, carried some credit card debt. A lot of times it takes people years in order to figure it out if they even do it all. So by the time you get to that fifth digit or $10,000. It really just is a validation that what you're doing has been working. And so you can continue building on that. It's going to serve as a foundation, right? Like I said before, you're not going to be able to retire with $10,000, and you still have a long way to go in order to be financially independent, but you'll be able to know that you have at least a couple of months worth of expenses stashed away. Most people spend $3,000 to $5,000 a month in total expenses. And so in case something were to happen to you, if you were to be laid off or have some other emergency, you can confidently know that you will be okay, at least for the next couple of months, not have to go into debt. And so you can start to take a little more risk with your money if that's something that you want to do. Now, when I say risk, I don't mean go spend all $10,000 on a nice vacation, even though that would be sweet. But you take that $10,000, risk it by putting it into the market, let it grow if you don't need it. You'll get your 10% per year, and you'll just watch how it starts to snowball together to become a much larger number. And that $10,000 is going to grow, which brings me to my next point, that your savings rate will continue to increase. So the first $10,000 is going to be the hardest amount for you to save because you don't know what it takes initially to get to $7,000 or the steps that you need to take to get there. Once you've done that and know that you can do it, you know what the path is to get there. And so it is just keep doing what you're doing and set it automatically so that you can get there. The other great thing about money is that it compounds. And so if you save $1,000 a month to get 10 grand in the first year, then by taking that money and putting it into the market, you're going to return 10% per year. Now, at a 10% annual return within 7 years, without having to do anything at all, that money is going to double. And so without doing anything, you'll see how compound interest happens and that your money is going to grow. But that assumes that you're not even putting any more money in. So by the time that you figure out how to save $1,000 a month, you keep putting that in, and every year you will be hitting that $10,000 goal, and it will snowball with the rest of your money and continue to accumulate as you put it into the market and just let time do its thing. The other thing to keep in mind is that this all assumes that you won't even get any raises going forward. Practically speaking, you're going to advance in your career, make some more money. Since you know how to save more, you'll be able to put even more to the side. And you'll see that the first year, it was the hardest to pull in $10,000. The second year will be a little bit easier. And each successive year after that will be easier. And once you can achieve the milestone of $100,000 in there, which at first seems like it's something that's really unattainable, but one step at a time, you get 10 grand saved, you continue saving to get another 10 grand saved, and you'll see how each cycle towards the next $10,000 gets significantly faster. And when you eventually get to that $100,000 milestone, in just 1 year, your money will accumulate in the market to return $10,000, and then there's no looking back. Every year you should be gaining $10,000, and you'll look back at your initial struggles and think, why was it so hard for me even in the first place to get 10,000? And it's just because that money scales, and the more that you can risk and put into the market, the higher your return is going to be. And that's just a signal for you to know that once you achieve that first $10,000, it's only going to get easier going forward because you're going to know how to save that money and how to grow your money and just watch it grow to 100K. The next benefit of saving $10,000 is the ability to plan for some of life's big events. Whether you want to save up to get a new car, buy a house, are planning to get married, are planning to have children, life comes at you fast and it's expensive. You hear from so many people in the millennial and Gen Z generation that think there's no way that they'll be able to afford the American dream of ever owning a home or raising kids in a nice neighborhood. But I think a lot of that stems from the fact that most people don't have a solid buffer of money where they can make those decisions from a position of power. With $10,000, like I said before, you're not going to be able to afford every single event, but it's a significant amount of money that will be able to get you started towards that path. If getting a new car is something that you've been planning for, it takes time to save up to it. Now, it all comes down to priorities and what you want to do, right? So you should have your emergency fund set and funded first. You should make sure that you're comfortably living within your means, and you should make sure that you have a plan to continue to build wealth. But with $10,000, you will have the ability to go out and make some more serious capital investments to plan for the future. I don't recommend putting your money into anything that's going to burn away within one immediate use or in the short term. Don't spend it all on a vacation. The memories last forever, but they will fade quickly. And so if it's planning for a down payment on a house or for a car, $10,000 will be the first step to get you there. And it's really a building block for living the American dream so that you can be financially independent and live the life that you always dreamed of. And the next benefit over here by having $10,000 saved is just the ability to say no. So many people work because they have to and take whatever job is available to them so that they can make ends meet. You want to be in a position of power where you can say no. In case there's an emergency where you get laid off from your job and need to be able to cover a few months of expenses, you don't want to be in a position where you have to take the first job that's offered to you. I've seen it happen before where people get laid off, they're running out of money, and they need to take any job so that they can make sure that they can afford their bills, and they are miserable. Once you're in the job, it gets hard to find something else and you're locked in, and it takes a toll on your mental health, and you really don't want any part of that. And so even in the worst case scenario of an emergency where you need to cover your own expenses in the meantime, you want to be able to take a job that will not be a burden on your mental health and make sure that it's the right decision for you, because we're trying to think longer than the short term. We don't want to be thinking paycheck to paycheck. We don't even want to be thinking 6 months to a year. You want to be thinking 3 to 5 years out. What is the best moves for you, or what are the best moves for me so that I can achieve what it is that I want to do? And by having $10,000 put away, you can make the decisions that are not reactive and be more proactive so that you can become financially secure and make sure that that's an achievable goal.